Welcome to Guided by Third Wheel, the podcast. My name is Amber Ireland, and I'm here with my co-host, Jill Bucaro. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Guided by Third Wheel. Today we are going to talk about goal setting. Yay! So this this episode comes out the beginning to middle of December, and I think this is a time, one, when we are all consumed with the holiday craziness, but also I think a lot of people are thinking new year, perhaps new me. What are some new habits going to be? I love the end of the year because it's a good way to look back and then to use that information and that reflection to look forward and to goal set.
Right. And like we talked about in the last podcast or the podcast before about the holiday crazy time and boundaries and all of that, I think also what happens around the holidays and why we goal set is because during that time, things are going not great, and we're like, well, okay, I'll just deal with this, and then the first of the year I'm going to do something different, right?
Exactly.
But as much as we don't want to get into that churn every single year where we fall back, but maybe do things that we know aren't great for us, it does really shine a light on what do we still need to work on so that we're not, when we get in these stressful situations, going back to old things that we know aren't for our highest good.
Exactly. Yes, there have been many a time when I've been in the holiday rush and I'm like, this cannot be my life anymore. Changes must be made.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things about December that have us thinking about goal setting, changes, new habits. What we did last year, Amber and I, and as a part of Third Wheel, is we did a challenge called 60 Strong. And it was our version of the 75 Hard challenge. Always give credit where credit is due, but 75 Hard, I think it was a book, I believe. There's a book that goes along with the 75 Hard challenge. And for 75 days, you have to do all of these kind of habits. All of them really are kind of around physical wellness. And there's no cheat days.
And it's preset.
And it's like preset.
It's like prescribed habits. Here are the ones you will do.
Yes, you will drink a gallon of water. I think you have to do like 2 workouts, one inside, one outside. Icky. And you have to follow a diet, no alcohol. There's a lot of things. But like you said, it's a routine, a regimen, like the 75 Hard. And what we did is we took that idea of no cheat days. Every single day, I am going to do things that serve me.
Right.
And we created the 60 Strong challenge. And the 60 Strong challenge is only 60 days. And you pick 6 habits that make the most sense for you.
Right.
And we encourage people, like when we pick our habits, to choose things that are across the whole spectrum of wellness. When we think about wellness, we often think about physical wellness. And I think when people think about their goals for the beginning of the year, they often think about losing weight.
Right.
And sometimes the goals are not...
Because it's those holiday cookies. Like you ate all those holiday cookies and you're like... January 1st, need to not.
You're like me. You're so stressed. And my favorite poor coping mechanism for stress is to just eat and eat and eat until I don't feel a feeling. And then you do that and you're like, oh my God, none of my clothes fit. I must lose weight. But while physical wellness goals are important, and while we encourage people to have a couple of physical wellness goals in with their 60 Strong, we really encourage people to think about other goals that are going to improve other facets or spheres of their life. So are there spiritual goals? Is there something you could do every day to deepen your spiritual practice, whatever that looks like? Are there goals that could help your mind? Is there a reading goal or a crossword puzzle goal? Amber last year did no online shopping, except for your things that are on order, right? Like your vitamins and things like that. But, are there financial goals? A lot of people last year actually did financial goals. So anyways, I digress. We encourage people to pick 6 goals that cover the different spheres of their lives and to do those for 60 days.
Yeah. And they're personalized. You get to choose them yourself. When we did the challenge last year, we were there to help with those goals. So if people were having a hard time coming up with a daily goal, but they knew what they wanted the end result to be, right? Just helping to create things that are realistic too. Because I think sometimes those New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year aren't realistic for physical goals, right? You don't go to the gym, you don't cook your own food, and you've never done that before. To be like, January 1st, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week and I am going to be a vegan. That isn't realistic.
Right.
And you're going to fall off the wagon really fast. And then you feel defeated, right? And so part of this challenge that we were doing is also helping people create things that you really could do every day for the next 60 days, because you don't want to feel defeated. You want to do something that's going to move the needle forward. Is it exactly where you want to be? Maybe not. But after that 60 days, you're closer.
Absolutely. What I love about the 60 Strong is sometimes we set goals for ourselves where we have a goal, but we have no real plan on how to get there, right? I've heard people say things like, in the first quarter of the year, I want to lose 20 pounds.
Right.
Cool. I mean, you can lose 20 pounds in 3 months in a healthy way, for sure. But how are you going to do that?
Right.
To me, a better way to conceptualize that goal is to say, every day I'm going to engage in 20 minutes of movement, right? Maybe I'm going to walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes. Two of the people in our group last year, they were a couple, they walked a mile outside every day. People send us their goals. One, so like Amber said, if people are struggling with a goal, or if we look at a goal and we're like, let's talk a little bit more about this. One, we do that. And two, we actually give people a little social media toolkit where they can share their goals if they want. We give a little graphic that every day is a countdown, right? Like, I did it. But anyways, they sent us that goal that we're going to walk outside a mile every day. And I was like, it is January. They live in Ohio. Feels crazy. But they're like, no, we think we can do it. We have dogs. We typically walk them anyway. And they did it. They walked outside every day for a mile. And that to me is so much more realistic than them being like, we want to lose 30 pounds by the time this is over, right? Because it's a daily habit. So that's what I love about the 60 Strong. We talk all the time in here about how we can't be focused on the end result, right? We have to be okay with the input and surrender to what's going to happen.
Right.
We talk about that all the time in the context of boundaries, in the context of so many things. And really, it's the same way here. We're committing to an input, to a healthy input. And if that means I lose 20 pounds, amazing. If that means I lose 8 pounds, but I feel stronger and healthier, also amazing.
Right. Wow. Yeah. If that means I lose no pounds, but I learn, oh, I need to do this and something else, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're just adding in a healthy habit. And so that's removing one barrier. But what it's helping you see is, oh, I had two.
Yeah.
You know? And so now that I've mastered this, I can focus on this other thing while I continue to do the thing that I've already mastered.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, Amber, just to give people ideas. And one, we would love to have you join us for 60 Strong.
Yes.
Two, we would for sure want you to think about, what are your goals going into the new year? So what are you thinking for next year?
I was thinking about the outside everyday goal. We just talked about this before the podcast, how much I hate to be cold, which leads to a lot of other habits during the winter to avoid that. But I also know that getting outside into the sunlight, into the fresh air is important. And during warmer months, I do that every day and I do feel really good.
Yeah.
That is a contributing factor. So that might be one of my goals. I am not going to walk a mile, but I'm going to put a time limit. So maybe go out and walk for 15 minutes because I know myself. If it is really, really, really cold, I can handle 15 minutes. And normally I could walk a mile in 15 to 20 minutes, but I think a time limit for me is better than a distance.
It's just going to feel better like in your brain. That's going to feel more doable.
Yeah.
Because you can literally count down.
Yes.
You can be like, I've been outside for 7 minutes. I only have 8 more. Okay.
Right.
So that's...
Right. And maybe if I can't walk, right, weather's so bad that it's snowing or there's a lot of snow on the ground or whatever, and maybe I'm outside shoveling the driveway or something like that.
Right.
I can do whatever, but just being outside.
Get the fresh air,
Yes.
get the sun on your skin.
I mean,
All right.
probably not a lot of skin, but...
Not on your like little eyeballs that are
Yeah.
poking out from your scarf. Perfect. Okay, that's a good one. What else are you thinking?
I am thinking about doing a no alcohol for 60 days. I've already been on that journey this year, just really reducing the amount of alcohol I'm consuming on a regular basis. And largely that came from learning other things about myself. Like I started monitoring my sleep and realizing that on the days that I have a drink, even just one drink, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, my sleep will be worse. I will not get the deep sleep. I'll go to sleep. Let me tell you, I fall asleep well. And I will stay asleep, I think. But when your heart rate doesn't get down, when your breathing doesn't get down, you're just not getting as productive of sleep as you would like to. So I've really been trying to reduce that so that I could prioritize my sleep. And I think that's going to be another one of my goals too, is to be in bed for a certain number of hours a night.
Okay.
I can't force myself to actually fall asleep, so I don't want to say I am going to actually sleep this many hours, but I can put my ass in the bed and turn the light off.
And prioritize rest.
Right.
I like that. Okay, so maybe no alcohol and maybe a goal around sleep.
And I think I'm going to do a water goal.
A water goal is always good.
You know, a lot of years, never would I have set a water goal because I was drinking so much water, and now I feel like I just have my support water bottle that I carry around.
Just carry it around full all day?
Yes! But what I've been doing is I've been having more like electrolyte water and stuff like that. And I would like to have a water goal that is just water. I can drink that, but also I need to
just drink some water.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing too. I'm going to pause here. And if you don't, obviously, Amber, I'm like, what are your 6 goals? I think for both of us, they're still kind of in the works. But I want to pause here too and talk a little bit about the goals too for 60 Strong. Because we always say there's different types of goals you can do. One goal is I am doing a habit. I am doing something.
Right.
For example, I am going to be in bed every day for 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever you choose, or 7 hours, right? And then we also have elimination goals that say I am not going to drink alcohol. I am not going to have Starbucks. That's something I'm thinking about because that would be both a healthy and a financial goal for me. And so you have to think about the goals in that way too, because if you have 6 goals that are I am going to do something, I'm going to do 6 new things that I don't normally do every single day, that's a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
Most of us are already busy to the point that we cannot introduce 6 new habits in a day.
Yeah.
Maybe some people can, but I think that would be a heavy lift.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw that last year where people would submit their goals and I would add up the time of them. And they'd be like, I'm going to read for 20 minutes. I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes. I'm going to pack my lunch. And when you add up all this time, you're looking at like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Worth of stuff. Do you have that in your schedule? So I think having the nice mix of elimination goals and healthy habits is good, because obviously you don't want to do all elimination goals either.
No, and that's what I was going to say. You kind of have to know yourself too. I know for me, elimination goals are always going to be hard. They're not hard for me to do. If you were like, Amber, don't do this for this amount of time, on it, right? You are only going to eat this for the next 60 days. And it will greatly improve your health, on it. I will do it. I have become robotic about it. However, I become obsessive about it too, and I know that about myself. And so with the elimination goals, I have to choose something, and then I also just have to be mindful that I'm not obsessing, that I'm not doing it.
Interesting. I would say for me, I'm the opposite. An elimination goal is good. It makes me think about like temperament and things like that, but making myself do something it is difficult for sure. That's interesting.
I think it's that it feels like deprivation. It almost spirals into like, what else can I deprive myself of? If it's okay to do this, then it's okay to do this, then it's okay to do this. And I've had to work myself out of that for some things. I think the alcohol elimination goal will be okay. I don't really feel some kind of way about that. And I also feel like I've been doing some pre-work on that, so it won't be
shock to the system.
Yeah,
that's so funny to me. I really am the opposite, and I think I just as a human tend a little bit more towards depression, towards low energy. When I get up and I go to work and I give it my all there, and then I'm pretty much looking to be in a vegetative state the rest of the time. So I really have to be careful with me thinking about like, okay, if I do a movement goal, one thing I really want to do is a reading goal. And then a movement goal plus a reading goal, I mean, that to me feels like a lot of activities every single day, which probably to some people it doesn't. Like, I mean, that's really how I am. So much of the stuff I do, both work related, business related, even like hobby and social related, I leave early in the morning and I just stay out, because the moment I get home, I become a vegetable, which is probably something I should unpack and explore a little bit. But the thought of doing more than 1 or 2 extra things at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know myself that I'm going to have to do them in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to have space to do them in the morning.
Yeah.
Because especially when it's cold outside, you think I'm going to come home and change into workout clothes.
When it's dark 30 at 5:30 at
Oh,
night?
hell no. And one of my goals I typically do on these is I do a goal about what time I get up and get out of bed.
Yeah.
So I have a really terrible habit, and I probably shared this on here before, where I wake up very early. My biological clock, if I am not up in the 5 o'clock hour, that is strange for me.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is I will lay in that bed and I will doom scroll and I will worry and I just can't get the fuck out of the bed. And so I have made a goal. I've done this challenge now twice, and I have made a goal both times to get out of bed on weekdays by 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do 7 a.m. on weekends. And because I waste so much of my time just, I don't know what I'm doing in there, just worrying. I don't even know if I'm worrying.
Wow.
I'm just like kind of immobilized in a way. And my brain works the best in the morning. So it really would be helpful to me to get the fuck out of bed. Because I'll wake up at 5:15 and I won't get out of the bed till 6:15 or 6:30.
Oh, wow.
So I know that will be a goal for me, and I feel so much better, and my mental health is so much better when I do it. So that will for sure be a goal for me, which then gives me time in the morning to potentially do one of my other habits, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's movement and or reading or some sort of spiritual practice or something like that. So I'm definitely thinking about that. I also want to do a water goal. My ice machine is broken right now, and for some reason when my ice machine is broken, I go on the water strike. I just can't drink water if there's no ice in it. It's a personal problem. So I'm going to spend December getting my ice machine fixed again, and then I'll definitely do a water goal too.
What other goals are you thinking about?
So I'm going to do the wake up, the 5:30 and the 7 wake up. I'm going to do the water goal for sure. I think I'm going to do a movement goal. The lazy part of me is like, no. Because here's the other thing, guys. When you're me and Amber and you're hosting the 60 Strong, you got to do it, right? You can't not do it.
Right.
So damn it, I don't want to exercise 60 days in a row. But I think I really need to, and I have no excuse not to. I have 37,000 unused yoga classes. I have an elliptical at my house. I have a treadmill at my house. Mm-hmm. I have a nice neighborhood for walking. There's no reason I could not do 20 minutes of movement. I'll probably do 25. That would be like a real goal. So I think I'm going to do 25 minutes of movement. A water goal. I'm not going to do a gallon because that shit was crazy. Maybe 80 or 100 ounces probably of water. The wake up. And then I haven't fleshed this one out, but I want to do something around reading for pleasure. Some sort of hobby-ish kind of goal. Mm-hmm. Reading makes me really happy. Doing something creative or crafty or art makes me really happy. So probably something like that. Mm-hmm. Set aside some time for leisure activities and hobbies. Mm-hmm. And then I need to do something around healthy eating. My eating's been pretty good, but I could clean it up after the holidays. I'm a big sweets girl, so maybe something around that. Last year I did only 1 sweet per day, and people made fun of me because they're like, do you eat more than 2 sweets per day? And I'm like, obviously. Just anything with added sugar. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and I feel good about that because it hits the exercise, the water, and the healthy eating. I'll have some hobby time, which I think will be good. I think the waking up, or getting out of bed rather early, is really good for my mental health. So I feel decent about that spread. But no, definitely need to refine a little bit more.
So I did do a goal last year to post on social media every day. A lot of people did no social media. I was like, I probably should get on there. I look at it, but that was not contributing. So I did that, which I've been doing. So I'm not going to put that on there again because that has continued.
Continued quite a few of your habits.
Yeah, reading, I've continued. So I'm not going to be putting reading on there because I feel like that's cheating because I already do it every day. Last year I did not weighing myself for the entire 60 days, which I'm not going to put on there because really now I've gotten down to the place where it's once a month, once every 2 months. So that doesn't feel difficult at this point.
And I'm going to pause there because I thought that was such a huge one for you.
It was. And it made a huge difference. I have moved into a space now where I don't need to do that. Every once in a while, I find myself, let me go weigh myself. And a lot of times I just talk myself out of it. I'm like, okay, well, how do you feel?
Do you feel good? Your clothes fit?
Right. And if your clothes don't fit, why don't they fit? What is the deal here? Because I've also been lifting a lot. And so I've put on a lot of muscle. So I'm like, okay, do your clothes fit? because you have too much muscle, or do your clothes fit because you're fat?
Yeah, let me do a little cognitive behavioral therapy on myself, right?
Yeah, let me look at myself. And that's another thing that I struggle with is how I perceive myself to look.
Yeah.
Because I can look at a picture of myself and it looks 1,000 times different than when I look at myself in the mirror.
Interesting.
I recognize it. I know. And so now when I look, I have to really think through it and say, what are you looking at right now? Are you being objective here, or are you seeing some version of yourself that does not really exist?
Yeah. I just thought that was such a brave goal that you did, because that's just some shit that, has been a part of your story and your struggle for a long time.
Yeah.
And when you said your goals and you're like, I'm not going to weigh myself, I was like, no shit, Amber.
And I didn't.
And to me, it makes me so happy because you did that. And now you've been free of that part of the monster this whole year.
Yep.
That just makes me really happy.
Yeah. It makes me really happy too. I do feel like that there's a layer of that. It's not gone. Believe you me. It is not gone. But I will tell you that I do not look for that number every day to validate how I'm going to feel. And I feel like I've finally gotten to a place where not every day do I spend all day worrying about the balance between the exercise and the eating and
all the crazy math you're doing in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't worry about it as much. So that's been nice. So some of these habits, like the reading habit for me has been huge, because when I was little, I used to be a reader, and then I don't know what happened. I have read almost every single day this year so far. I mean, there have been a few times where I've missed, but I've read probably 12 or 13 books this year.
You've read it because you're always like, I read this book. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think that's...
And I've read maybe 2 fiction books, which that is unheard of, because I always read nonfiction. Like, I'm always trying to learn something. So
I just had one thought while you were talking, which is not even related to what we were talking about. It's a weird intrusive thought that came into my brain about goal. One thing I was talking about, so I've had a super busy fall. I am lucky that I have so many wonderful people in my life, and they all decided to get married and have babies at the exact same time, which is amazing. And I had a job change. It's just, I've had a lot of travel and just a lot of big activities that I was either in charge of or had to travel to. It's just been hard. And I was having this conversation a couple days ago that I almost feel like, it's funny because I've been out and about moving and grooving, but I feel kind of socially isolated, if that makes sense, because I've been in this survival mode. And I just had a thought, what if every single day I just did a meaningful reach out to somebody? Whether it was a call or a text. I could even do like a letter. You know what I mean? I was thinking, I have all these cute pictures of me and some of my friends that don't live by me. I could mail those out to them. I had a friend, actually, one of the millions of people that got married this fall in my life, got married back in October. She's one of like my childhood best friends, right? We've been friends for 20 years. It's horrifying when you can say you've been friends with people for 20 and 25 years. So it means you're 110 years old. We've all been friends forever. And she got married, and we took this picture of us girls. And I think we took it on my phone. I like texted it out to everybody. I posted it on the socials. And then 3 weeks later, I got a little padded envelope package, and I open it up, and one of my friends had taken the time to frame it in just a cute little Target frame and sent it to everybody. How sweet is that? I'm wondering if I'm going to do something around the thoughtful reach out to someone. As little as a text, as much as the mailing of a little gift or a memento, because I also think Amber and I, we have to kind of be active on social media for our jobs. I get jealous. I've kind of taken a social media cleanse, not really, but this week I was just so exhausted. I am so tired. I'm just not going to document my life on my stories.
Yeah.
Number one, it's been hilarious because I've had multiple people be like, are you okay? Are you dead? You have not posted a story. You know what I mean? In like 10 days. But we can't really get away from social media,
right?
Just because the nature of the work that we do. And sometimes I think social media can give us this false sense of connection. And sometimes maybe we're depriving ourselves of the real connection of friendships.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, what if I utilize some time when I'm not as busy, right? These first couple months of the year to just connect with people. Be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a couple months. Do you have time for a phone call? I'd love to hear what's going on. Or can we meet for coffee before work? Or I just want to shoot somebody a text. Hey, I've been thinking of you. Here's something funny that reminded me of you. So I'm going to play around with that one. But I think that might be really good. And I think that might be good for my mental health also. Sorry, I took us on that weird divergent
it got me kind of thinking about, like, do I want to do something like that or not? So what goals did you do last year that for the 60 Strong that you've continued, or that you were like, I did that for 60 days but never again?
I did a water goal, which I'm a very good water drinker. I also go nowhere without my emotional support, Stanley. And when you drink a lot of water consistently, your body really kind of becomes addicted to it. This is what I explain to people, that if you don't have water, I feel it. I get a headache, I get mean, I get crazy. So I've consistently drank water. Things are harder now without the ice machine, but I persist anyways. So I did a water goal. I did the 1 sweet a day, which I do feel really kind of curbed my sweet. I'm just very addicted to sweets. One thing I learned, we've talked before about like sober Januaries, thinking about our alcohol intake. I was a big drinker for a long, long time. A lot of people know that about me. Just drank a lot, many days of the week, a lot of alcohol. And I just haven't for really 4 or 5 years at this point. And what I hear, word on the street, and what you read is that when you stop drinking alcohol, your body craves the sugars from the alcohol. So I crave sweets like there is no tomorrow and always have. But I would really kind of like got myself under control last year and really have only had one spike, which is when it became Dairy Queen ice cream season, when I really kind of got out of control with the sweets again, but was able to taper that. So I did those 2. I did the getting out of bed. I think I did do my like devotional and card pull every morning. I might have limited myself to an hour on social media.
Yes, you did the limit.
And that's a pro hack too. If you have an iPhone, and I imagine if you have an Android phone too.
Yeah, I think most of the phones have that ability.
You can set in your settings time limits. So I put all of my social media apps like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I put all of those grouped together and I said on all of these no more than an hour combined. And my iPhone will cut me off and time me out. And I keep that on there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I override it, but usually when I hit that, I'm like, okay, I've done enough. So yeah, I think those are my goals. So most of them I feel like I've maintained. The doom scrolling in bed has gotten increasingly worse, I think, as my life gets more stressful.
I was thinking about that and I'm like, well, why don't I lay in bed and do that? Because I'm up early in the morning. What pulls me up out of the bed? And I think when I wake up, well, I have to pee. But, I mean, let's just be real.
See, I don't have to pee.
I wake up in the morning, and that is normally the thing that is waking me up is, girl, you better go to the bathroom.
And then you're up.
And then I'm up. Once I'm out of the bed, I'm not really going to get back into the bed. I think also my partner sleeps a lot later than I do, so I'm not going to be up and down in the bed. And I also think about I'm not going to sit here on my phone in case that's going to disrupt his sleep. But also, I'm thinking I need to get up so that I can meditate, journal, do my card pull, and read before anyone else gets up out of the bed. Because that's like cutoff. So on days when I'm tired on the weekend or even a work day when I'm really tired, I will negotiate that. Okay, are you willing to not do this today? Like, you go back to sleep for an hour, but are you willing to not do this?
To give all that up. And I think that too. And here's the thing is, once I'm up, especially on the days I get up early, I sit there at my desk where I do my reading and my card pulling, or even doing work that is creative and that I enjoy, the third wheel stuff. And I think, God, this feels so fucking good. I think some of it's like mental health and mood related. I think I feel a sense of overwhelm, a sense of dread, a sense of all of that stuff. It's interesting. I find that it's easier for me to get out of bed, 1, on the weekends, and 2, when I know I'm going to work from home. Because I think sometimes the mundane of you got to shower, then you got to do your hair, then you got to put on makeup. You know what I might do? What really causes me a lot of stress and anxiety is figuring out what I'm going to wear that day. So I wonder if a good goal would be picking out my outfit the night before.
Yeah.
When I know what I'm going to wear the night before, it is easier for me to get out of bed. That sounds so psycho saying it. I'm just telling the truth, you guys.
No, I used to be
worry
that way.
a lot. I kind of get paralyzed thinking, how am I going to do my hair? What am I going to wear? And in my job, I have days where I see nobody. I have days where I am in the jail all day. I have days where I am in meetings with like multiple elected officials, judges, CEOs, fancy ass people, right? And it's just like being a woman in the workplace fucking sucks, because so much of how people engage with you and talk to you is based on how you look. Like, let's just be honest.
Yep.
So I think I feel a lot of stress and overwhelm about that. Oh, thank you, Amber, for therapizing me and helping me unpack that. I wonder if I picked out my outfit the night before, if it would be easier.
Clothes. Yeah. I used to pick out my clothes for the entire work week, and I would iron them all on the weekends, and I would just hang up the outfits together and just grab and go all week. I could look at all my meetings for the week and be like, okay, I need to wear this on this day I'm going to work from home, whatever the case may be.
And I could even get just like a little rack.
Yeah.
to put it in. And that's one thing too that's nice about the goal setting and figuring out what you're going to do is then you have a couple weeks to think about what things do I need to purchase or prepare or clear out or to set myself up for those goals.
Right. And, you know, like we said, when we do the 60 Strong Challenge, just in general, if you were to participate in that, we will have a time period in which we can have conversation about that. So if you're like, Jill, I want to get up out of the bed, but I'm not exactly sure why it is I won't get up out of the bed. Yeah. Having that conversation with somebody after you've put a little bit of thought into it could be helpful in creating a goal that really does move you forward, instead of, you could have just set the goal, I'm going to get out of bed at this time, right? And never looked at what is the thing, right? And you could just force yourself to do it.
Or just like white
grit
knuckle
your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
But then probably next year you would find yourself, or after the 60-day challenge, you know, you would just find yourself in the same situation because you didn't address what the bottom of that was or a way to move through it. Like we talked about, it's layers, right? So if I find that one thing and I start doing that,
right,
and it does get me up out of bed earlier, but then maybe the next layer is, why do I give a fuck? I mean, how do I get okay with wearing whatever it is that I want to wear that day and being fine with that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that is good. My goal today is to figure out what my goals are going to be because I need to get myself situated and organized. So, how does one join the 60 Strong Challenge? The first thing you could do is follow us on social media because we will be spamming the heck out of all of you to join us on 60 Strong. Yeah. The other way to do it is to sign up via our website. Mm-hmm. So by the time this launches, this will be in the store and you go and you just literally purchase the 60 Strong package.
Right.
What that does is, one, you're part of the challenge. Mm-hmm. We do a cash prize at the end.
Yes.
We do prizes throughout. Mm-hmm. Usually it's like fun stuff like a little third wheel hoodie or some swag or a gift card or something like that. The one cool thing is we do prizes every 15 days. And let's say in the second 15 days, on day 18, you mess up.
Right.
So you're not in the running for the cash prize anymore, right? At the very end, because you won't have done all 60 days. But you can get right back on the wagon, and in the third set of 15 days, so from day 30 to 45, you do all your goals, you're for sure in the running for that prize.
Yes.
For that quarter of it.
Right.
So there is definitely incentive that if you mess up, to get right back up because you can win prizes throughout. So you're eligible for the prizes. You are eligible for some consultation from Amber and I on your goals. You will get the full social media toolkit made by your girl Jill on Canva. It will have all your goals listed. They will be story size. They will be post size. You can hold yourself accountable with a daily countdown. You get all the graphics for that. You are in our little Facebook group. It is private. We cheer each other on. Dude, I love the Facebook group. Yeah. That's my favorite part, where people are cheering each other on. They're sharing, you know, what was hard about today. This is what I overcame. I didn't do this goal, but I've stayed on track the next week after it. It's awesome. And that's what you get for your money and some accountability. So check out our website. It's thirdwheelllc.com. That is 3 L's in a row.
Yeah.
thirdwheelllc.com. Or just follow us on social. Third Wheel Consulting.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. If you follow us on social,
you'll see it.
You'll know. Amber, should you pull a card for us to give us some inspiration in our goal setting ventures?
So this is a new deck. This one is called Soul Coaching Oracle Card by Denise Lynn. I just got these. I really like them. They're beautiful cards. They have beautiful imagery on them. All right, well, let's take a deep breath together. And we'll set the intention that you are receiving exactly what you need from this podcast and from this card pull today. We got the card of wisdom. And this wisdom card actually has a giant owl on it. So the affirmation for this card, this is a nice thing about this deck, they all have an affirmation that goes with them, is all I truly need is within me. So what this card means is that the cup of wisdom is being presented to you. Listen to the coincidences, the signs, and the synchronicities around you. Watch for messages from your angels and your guides. Enlightenment is growing within you in mysterious ways beyond your awareness. sit on the earth and allow her wisdom to fill you. So I feel like when we're talking about goal setting and we're talking about this challenge, knowing that you know what you truly need. You have that wisdom within you, and there probably are signs that are guiding you toward what you need to be doing, right? So whether it is that you're going to set goals for the new year for yourself, or you're going to be part of some kind of a challenge where you're able to set goals, you know what you truly need. So make sure that you're listening to that internal wisdom and that you are acting on that in order to move yourself forward, and know that it's being reflected to you. So if you're constantly seeing something being reflected to you and you're like, I just keep running into the same thing over and over again, that might be a clue that I need to look at that a little bit harder, right? Because you're seeing it for a reason. So you know what you need.
You know
Trust
what
it.
you need. So true. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Guided by Third Wheel, the podcast. We would be honored if you would like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, be well.